Duelista, Madolce against Swordsoul, and these guys are playing for a place for tomorrow.
And you know, they do have an even record.
Yeah.
So they're coming into this on even footing. Both of them simultaneously in a good position, but also backs against the wall. If you lose this, yes, you may be able to sneak through on a tiebreaker, but you really want to take this game and secure yourself a place in that knockout bracket.
Exactly, especially because, like as you said, losing this one will mean that most likely you will be able to hope, to get to tomorrow.
And actually, I'm really intrigued that we are able to see the Sword Soul deck actually on stream now, because we haven't had the chance to look at the Tenyi aspect of the deck in particular. We've seen full fields of synchros, and of course, just to note, by the way, we are playing on the Sword Soul Mountain dual field, which looks beautiful. Yeah, tell me a little bit about how Sword Soul as an archetype interacts with the Tenyi cards in particular.
So basically, I really like how the deck works, because basically if you get the chance to seeing any of your Tenyi's monsters, as it was the chance in this case for the Dojo del Duelista, you will be able to link summon and then afterwards use your Sword Soul cards. Now Diegub has the Infinite Impermanence of the Sword Souls of Taya, which is super powerful, because basically these cards get to summon a token, and with the token itself, basically you get to synchro summon. And the key cards of the deck is the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Chi Chao, and then the Sinister Sovereign Chao Feng. I think that these cards are very powerful in a sense that basically they are very annoying to play against. I would also say that the Baron de Fleur is another very, very strong card.
Yeah, Baron de Fleur, of course, being very iconic across a lot of decks, and honestly very difficult to deal with. Probably the most played synchro monster that comes to mind across a variety of decks.
Yeah, and also I think that in this kind of situations, also in which you really want to win this final game and final match, playing it up against, Madolce might be, maybe, as we previously mentioned, playing against this kind of decks that are super powerful on one hand, also super consistent, might be pushed in trouble. Now we will be seeing the Chi Chao being summoned.
Yep. So we have Sword Soul probably going to look for an eventual Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign Chen Ying.
Yeah, yeah. And I think this is a very good start nonetheless, because with these two spell or trap card being set, now play is back to Diegub. Let's see if he finds his way.
So actually with Diegub it's a little funny, because we've seen all of his games on stream so far. Madolce, Madolce, Madolce. So give me a little bit more insight as to what the Madolce deck needs to do to actually take a game, or two games ideally if you're Diegub, against something like the Sword Soul.
So what we usually saw from Diegub is starting things off with the Magiline. The Magiling gets him searched the Petting Successor, which is very powerful. And then the starting lineup that Diegub decided to play with is going for the Teacher Glass Souffle.
So what are you looking to shut down in particular from the side of the Sword Soul deck? And what is the kind of guaranteed win condition for Diegub here when it comes to, okay, if I get rid of this component of the Sword Soul Tenyi build, how do I guarantee success for myself?
So first of all, he really needs to be careful, because El Dojo del Duelista here has two set maybe spell or trap cards, but the lineup here will go for either the Teacher Glass Souffle, and we got the chance to see the Chocolat a la mode being summoned on it. Here comes the Forbidden Droplet, which is super powerful, because basically it will prevent the Chi Chao activation. On one hand, I think this is very, very good. For the Forbidden Droplet, one of these cards being played this weekend and very, very powerful. Let's see if Diegub will decide to go for the standard lineup we have already seen a couple of times this weekend.
Yeah, I'm very, very curious to see how he decides to play this one out, especially given the fact that, you know, we've seen multiple avenues of success for this Madolche deck. I'm also very curious to see what El Dojo del Duelista does in response to having the droplet come down and negate his monster's effects, or, you know, just maybe not getting that ideal start to the game despite a very good turn 1.
And also, I think that playing against Warswall in general, it's very difficult because basically it is very annoying to playing against these very big monsters. In this case, I think we will soon be seeing the Shokulala mod, but both the Chichao and the Changying, as you mentioned, are thosely the standard lineup to go for with Warswall.
Yeah.
And also, I think that a very good card is the Warswall Strategies Longyan, which is basically the card that gives you access to the Changying. And what I really like is that if the card will be destroyed, basically, by card effect, you can banish one card from the graveyard instead to prevent the destruction. In this case, though, the Shokulala mod is being summoned on the field, and we have seen that Diegub really, really likes this lineup.
Yeah.
This is what he usually does in turn 1. The Chichao was stopped previously by the Forbidden Droplet.
So, if you're Dojo here, are you just watching it happen? Apparently not, as Called by the Grave is flipped face up.
Yeah, very, very good one. In this case, let's see if Diegub has any other sort of, you know, way, because basically now, Called by the Grave is very powerful.
Yeah, so with this Called by the Grave, assuming it does resolve, are you essentially then stuck with just the Chocolat a la mode sat there, and then once it's cleared off the board, off the field, sorry, you then have Dojo having free reign with the Sword Soul?
Well, the thing is that the Call by the Grave here is very, very powerful, because it basically stops your play in a sense. On the other hand, I think that it could be either way, because I can see exactly the Chateau being activated from Diegub. It's not, let's say, is most powerful turn we have seen so far this weekend. Still, I think he's putting up some pressure against his opponent. Basically, he is left with Chocolala mod. It's not gonna be enough, in my opinion, especially because now the Chichao will get back.
So no cards in hand. The Chocolat a la mode just kind of sat there. Yeah, not the greatest state on the field for Diegub here. Dojo, do you think he has the tools to actually close this game out this turn?
I don't think that he will necessarily go for enough damage this turn. With the Incredible Ecclesia being summoned now, he gets the Moye on the field. And we will soon seeing another Synchro summoning, I think. El Dojo del Duelista is just considering his options. Given that Diegub is just left with the Chocolat a la mode on the field, there's not much that he can do. He goes for the Synchro Summon, and the Baxia comes to the field. Something that I really like is that this deck has different solution in the extra deck. Alongside with the Sword Soul Synchro monsters, he also got to play, as I mentioned before, the Baron de Fleur, but also the Baxia. Now, first he goes to activate as a Chain Link 1 the Baxia and Chain Link to the Moye. And then the Baxia is going to resolve, getting rid of the Chocolala mode, something that I think will really put El Dojo del Duelista far ahead in this game.
Yeah, and ultimately, do you think that there is any way back into this game for Diegub, assuming that the game is not over this turn?
Well, let's see if El Dojo del Duelista manages to put enough damage. Because Diegub, I think, is already understanding that his chances are decreasing for this game. Another Synchro Summon is happening and the Chichao comes to the field, but this will not be enough because Diegub will be remaining with 100 life points left.
Where have I heard that before?
So let's see if he can find something else to close this game very quickly.
Searching.
Yeah, he searches the strategies. As we were mentioning, this is very, very powerful. And with the strategies, Longyan on the field, he will now be able to activate his effect and then Synchro Summon once again, and he will be able to close this game.
Yeah. And then we get...
Here comes the Baron.
Okay.
Yeah, just in case,
just in
if
case.
it was not enough. And game 1 goes to El Dojo del Duelista. Very well played by him. There was not that much that Diegub could have done in this game, honestly. I think that the Infinite Impermanence, of course, on the Taie in the first turn was pretty much what he was hoping for, but not enough.
I like seeing Sword X just because the final state of the field when they won is always just...
Let's see if... Okay, El Dojo del Duelista starts once again, and here he gets to activate the Moye, revealing the Vishuda. There's the Impermanence. Okay, and here I think if there's nothing else from El Dojo, he might be also passing his turn. He sets one.
Okay.
Will he be passing? Yes.
Okay, so Diegub now, he's successfully run a disruption onto Dojo's plans, but is it enough?
And he has the Pancratops.
Takes me back to the beginning of the day,
Yeah.
and that was the card.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here El Dojo activates Maxi. Honestly, I would have waited because, of course, with the Pancratops, Diegub now has an advantage, getting rid of the Moye, and then if he really feels like it, he could activate the Pancratops to get rid of the face-down set card. Maybe I would have waited just for some Diego's plays. He's shaking his head because he knows that he might be going just into a battle phase, deal some damage, and not overextend his plays due to Maxi being activated.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that you are kind of corralled into not opting for your special summons, especially when we saw how Diegub successfully executed just going into Xyz summon after Xyz summon and eventually getting up from the teacher all the way up into the Chocolat a la mode. But honestly, at this point, I think, as you said, he is just going to opt into the battle phase.
Yeah.
Maybe lead the charge with the Pancratops, and then eventually use that Dino Wrestler Pancratops' effect to go after the back row as well.
Now he's considering his options because, of course, he goes for the Pancratops.
Regardless, he goes for that set spell or trap, and it was Infinite Impermanence.
But now this, if he decided to go for the Pancratops, maybe he really wants to push. No, instead, he goes battle phase, attack. I am not a big fan of this, honestly, because you lost the attack with the Pancratops, right?
Yep.
He could have gone with the Chateau, enter battle phase, attack. It is very unlikely that your opponent is playing, I don't know, like Mirror Force, for example.
Yeah.
Just to say one card. But I mean, I would not have been afraid of the card of El Dojo del Duelista, because most of the times this weekend we have seen Infinite Impermanence. And now Monk of the Tenny is the field and Diegub is left with no responses. And now, as we were mentioning before, what I really like about this Warsaw deck is that he can play with the tennis cards as well. This means that if he doesn't have the chance to seeing any Warsaw cards, he can still play throughout, you know, his tennis monsters. And
it's always interesting to see when people opt into just summoning the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring and using it as a tuner.
Yeah, and I really like this because now you get the chance to synchro summon the Baron de Fleur. Something that, of course, as you mentioned, you don't see quite often, but normal summoning the Ash Blossom basically gives you the advantage to getting Baron de Fleur on the field. Now he activates the Baron de Fleur on the effect, enters battle phase, deals 4000. And yeah, I mean, now play is back to Diegub. Let's see what he can find out.
And Diegub now back against the wall. He knows that this is his tournament, essentially, potentially, especially since escaping your group with a record of 1 and 2 is your tournament fate is not in your hands anymore. So really, really looking to hopefully get his way back into this one. That is about as good a start as he could have hoped for, but not
looks
the best.
like Diegub didn't draw any of the card he was needing. El Dojo del Duelista, just in case, we also saw that he has the Tenny Vishuda in his graveyard, just in case. He sets 1, back his play to El Dojo. Let's see what he draws. Okay, now he could go for the Link one once again for the Monk of the Tenny if he really feels like it. And we can see Diegub saying yes to his plays. Looks like there's nothing else that he can do about it. He goes for the Monk indeed. He goes Vishuda, as I was mentioning to you guys. It's very powerful when it is in the graveyard, because basically you get to bounce back 1 card from Diegub's side of the field, activates the Baron, destroy the monster, and then, as we saw in the previous turn, will deal 4000 damage to seal the game.
Seal the game, seal the match, and seal what will presumably be his escape from Group A.
Exactly. Battle phase, attack. And he takes the win. Well played by him.
El Dojo del Duelista with his Sword Soul Tenyi deck. 2 and 1 on the day. Diegub, on the other hand, Medolce. Nearly got it done.
Yeah.
1 and 2 is not the end of the tournament. Potentially has a chance to make it out, but
still, I think he showed us the power of his deck. Nonetheless, let's give back
the
word
winner
to
of
Ed.
that round was El Dojo. So give a round of applause for Dojo, the winner of that. Very exciting stuff. So I'm going to make my way over to have a quick chat. Dojo, grab yourself a microphone and we'll have a little bit of a talk about that round. That's all good. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
A decisive 2-game victory there. How do you feel? Relieved.
The last game, when I win the coin, I say to my opponent, sorry. I maybe talk too fast.
Sure.
Because when I say in my hand, I say, oh, shit. That's it.
Oh, please don't swear on this.
Sorry.
We've said this before.
Bad hand. And when
Don't do it again.
yeah, when he negates my Moye, I say I must go. I depends on he breaks.
Okay.
And when see summon go to normal summon with when I use Max T, I see that Barone in my hand with the Ash Blossom and the Vishuda, and that's all.
Well, it all ended up working out pretty well for you. So now you've got 2-1 right on your scorecard.
Yeah.
And do you know what the rest of the group seem to have by this point? You feeling pretty confident?
Yes. There are very, very nice people here playing. Very nice decks. Too much skill. So it's going to be difficult. But I'm very excited to duel everyone.
Well, congratulations on getting 2 wins there and then that 1 loss. But there's your 3 rounds all played. Do you feel a bit of relief now that you're done for the day?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Guys, we've got more duels coming right up, so I'm going to throw you guys straight back over to whichever duel is currently in progress, and you guys can check that out before we get into our next feature match. Back to you guys.